The top 5 mistakes beginner Harley Davidson riders make in traffic. Riding a motorcycle can be daunting for a lot of people. You can be a beginner for a long time. It really depends on your skills and how much you improve. I also see a lot of Harley riders who are in their 50s and 60s return to motorcycling after a layoff of perhaps many decades. Everyone was a beginner at some stage. I never criticise beginners. You've got to learn sometime, and everyone has the opportunity to learn from another person that may have more knowledge or more experience. So we're all beginners in a way. I've been riding motorcycles for over 40 years and Harley Davidsons for over 30 years now. So here's my take on the mistakes that beginners make and what to do about them. Not what to do about the beginners, what to do about the mistakes. Mistake number 1, riding at the same speed as the traffic, or worse still, riding at a slower speed than the traffic. I see that all the time. Danger city, don't do it. You have to go faster than the traffic to get away from the cars. Now, of course, I'm not encouraging you to go too fast or ride beyond your capability, but the safest spot in the traffic is as far away from the cars and trucks as possible. Cars, trucks, buses, they're much bigger than you when you're on your motorcycle. You don't want to tangle with them. You're going to lose. It's dangerous. Get away from them. Now, if you're traveling at the same speed as the traffic, it's highly likely that you are going to be stuck in amongst the cars. You're going to be surrounded by cars, and that's, in my opinion, one of the most dangerous spots to be in. What's worse is people often have a lapse in speed. Now, this can happen to newer riders, even experienced riders, for a million reasons. Poor gear change, changing lanes and hesitating, losing concentration, resting your right hand momentarily. You might just be distracted for any old reason. You don't want bigger than you, faster moving vehicles bearing down at you from behind. Everyone's seen that dude on the little scooter or the small motorbike stuck on the far edge of the road right near the curb, going as hard as he can, full throttle. He's doing about 10 kilometers an hour, and every car and bus and truck is bearing down on him. You just know that something bad's going to happen to him one day. And I know that's an exaggeration compared to just slightly riding slower than the traffic, but the concept is the same. You've got bigger animals, so to speak, bearing down on you. You don't want to be that guy. It's dangerous. Get ahead of the traffic, get away from them. And that brings me to number 2. But of course, first I've got to say hello. My name's Eamon and welcome to the channel. You can find me on the website oldnotdead.club. And if you like the channel and you want to help out, you can grab yourself some great supporter gear like this t-shirt. It really does help keep the channel going. And of course, you could also support our supporters because they really do keep the channel alive and kicking. Resurgence gear, fantastic motorcycle clothes that look like casual clothes. Check out the jeans I'm wearing, single layer because it's summer and it's warm here. And these would have to be the most comfortable motorcycle jeans I've ever worn. Old Not Dead viewers get a 10% discount on Resurgence gear, motorcycle clothes, if they know the secret code word. It's Old Not Dead. Shh, don't tell anyone. You get a 10% discount. Now, mistake number 2 is not lane splitting when you can. And yes, I know that's a controversial one, and some people would say that's not for beginners, but I call BS. Anyone can lane split, and it's important that you do. It just follows on from point number 1. You want to get away from the cars and you want to be protected. Now, at intersections when everybody has stopped, those stopped cars are your protection if you get in between them and sit at the front of the lights. If anything happens behind you, you have a buffer of parked cars to protect you. And don't think that doesn't happen. I was sitting in a car once at the traffic lights, and I just happened to quickly glance in the rearview mirror. There was a car coming at high speed from behind that didn't even realize that there was an intersection, cleaned up the back of my car, or cleaned up the car, and took off literally half of the car. The whole back section of the car was demolished. If I had been on a motorcycle, I would have been dead, not old. So get to the front of the intersection where the cars have stopped and give you a protective barrier. If you're unsure about splitting traffic, practice when the gaps are really wide and you know that the traffic lights are going to stay red for some time. If you don't practice, you're never going to be able to do it. Now, of course, you've got to be alert and ready to stop when you're doing this. Now, clipping mirrors accidentally when you do this It's annoying for you, it's annoying for the car driver, but it doesn't hurt. I've got scuff marks on the edges of the batwing fairing from, let's say, enthusiastically splitting the traffic. Playing Mission Impossible when you're bored, that's where you're trying to find smaller and smaller gaps to split the traffic with. Don't do that. Just take it easy, you'll be fine. So the trick is to look ahead, far ahead, for any potential danger and make sure that the gap is adequate for your skill set. And then ride through with purpose, not too slow. If you go through too slow, it's actually more difficult. Number 3 is incorrect positioning. You want to be positioned in your lane where you can escape any potential hazards. So that means not in the middle of the lane. So when you're riding along, for example, you don't want to be trapped between big trucks where there's nowhere to go. You don't want to be in the middle of the lane, that's where all the oil collects, and it's also the most difficult position to maneuver away from if something happens in front of you. If you're at the edge of the lane, it's a very quick maneuver to get around the car in front. Personally, I like to ride on the right of the lane, near the center line, near the white line, just reverse that on the other side of the world. So if I'm near the center of the lane, at the edge of the lane, on the right-hand side here, it's very easy to see around cars that are in front of me. This is the generalisation, that's the area where the least number of potholes seem to happen. It's also the best position if you want to ride aggressively and overtake. Now remember, if you ride in this position like I like to ride most of the time, you really need to keep an eye on the oncoming traffic, and sometimes you have to go a little bit closer to the centre. It also means that if something happens in front of you and it's a reflex action to go around that car, you've got to make sure you're not going to move into the oncoming traffic. So sometimes it's better to be on the left-hand outside edge of the lane. The way I look at it is this will be different on different occasions. Sometimes there's a big empty shoulder on the left-hand side of the road, so it's a great position to ride because you've got an escape route on the left. The point of the story is don't ride in the middle, that's the worst spot to be in. And the same thing applies when you are sitting at an intersection. If you happen to be stuck behind cars, don't sit in the middle behind the car in front of you, sit off to one of the sides, so if something does happen, you're in an easy position to manoeuvre away from the car in front of you. So we're going to Pakenham Bike Night. We've got Eric, who you can't see, he's got a helmet on, and Danny, who's brought the Ducati because he can't keep up with us anymore. So he's had to bring the Ducati to try and keep up.
See the smoke stretch to the sky, burning down the whole city, child.
We're all but not dead. Speak for yourself, not everybody knows.
So we're at Pakenham Bike Night, huge turnout, a lot of bikes. This is only the second time they've organised this, and I reckon there's got to be at least 200 bikes, if
Down
not
your
more.
precious face.
I didn't recognise you there. New paint job. So I'm with Brandon, who's a relatively new rider. How long have you been on a motorbike?
Around 5 months now. Yeah.
5 months, great. What do you find is difficult on a motorcycle, in particular in traffic?
I'd say more awareness, like trying to get used to how aware of the road you need to be, like kind of just predicting what other drivers are going to do. So like you can see someone slowly veering into a lane in front of you and you're like, I don't know if they're going to merge or if they're just going to swing in. Should I slow down or overtake them now?
What mistakes do you think you make because you're new as opposed to just a general mistake?
Big mistake I made earlier was judging the distance between me and other cars. Might have taken.
I still do that. I've done 40 years of riding.
I might have accidentally taken out a mirror.
Yep.
Yep. The driver was cool though, but I felt like a fucking idiot. Yeah.
Precious face, vanished into the shadows of your own disgrace. Forgive them, but they feel no shame. If only they knew you held the golden flame, the sweet sound.
Check out this guy. He's done some corners. Let's check out Christine's bike from the Barbering Biker. How long have you been riding, Christine?
30 plus years.
Oh,
This old grandmother, been on bike for a long time.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you're a good rider?
Yes.
How do you know?
Well, I haven't fucking come off. I haven't had an accident.
So what do you
I'm
think?
still standing.
So what do you think? What mistakes do you think new riders make?
Riding outside of their comfort zone and trying to prove something.
Okay.
There's no need to. You just ride what you're comfortable. Most accidents, I believe, are caused when it's the fault of the rider is because they're just riding outside of their comfort zone, maybe going a bit too fast. They don't need to, trying to maybe keep up with a crowd.
Yep.
Particularly men, because you are driven a lot by ego, no offence or anything, but
How's my ego? I'm with Josh, who's a new rider, 2 months into riding. Is that right, Josh?
It is.
So what do you think your biggest mistakes are?
For me, starting off with a bit of hesitation, and when I say that, I mean really, you're always second guessing yourself being fairly new. You get very, very nervous starting off. More than thinking, should I turn, should I merge? You know, when is the right time? You know, is it ever a right time to sort of merge? And a lot of people can get caught. I find, you know, weaving in and out of traffic at the same time, just give yourself a bit of time, a bit of space. But yeah, for me, the biggest thing would have been hesitation and definitely focus and concentration. Distractions are a very big thing on a bike and can be deadly, I'd say.
And number 4 is distractions. It's really important when you're riding a motorcycle not to get distracted and to lose focus. You see, riding a motorcycle is not like driving a car. You can't just daydream and watch television while you're sticking to the ridiculously low speed limits that happen in most countries. On a motorcycle, a lot of skill is required. It's much more tiring because you are outside and exposed to the elements, in particular the wind. You've got a million sensory inputs, so it's really easy to get tired, distracted and to lose focus. Now, if you get tired, you need to have more breaks. It's really that easy. You don't get any reward for riding all day from one tank fill to the next. Now, it's very subjective. It depends on the day. It depends on how you feel. Personally, I like to ride pretty hard, so I don't mind having a break every hour. And the harder I ride, the more breaks I need. When the crusty old bloke you're riding with says, no, we're tough here, we ride all day and we don't stop, we don't have breaks and all that sort of crap, give him the sign. Tell him where to go. Don't be shy. Stop and have a break. It'll save your life. Actually, it's not old crusty blokes that do that. They get tired. It's young blokes who do that. Yeah, I'm a legend. I can ride forever. I can ride. I'm tough. To help you with focus, have set focus points. Try and focus only on drivers' eyes and the front wheels of cars. That'll pretty much enable you to predict what that car is going to do. It's going to save you an enormous amount of energy and help to prevent fatigue if you restrict your focus in that way. You don't need to look at everything, it can be a distraction. Ride to the minimum speed that your focus requires. Because sometimes if you're riding too slow, it's very difficult to focus. It's that boring and easy to do. So sometimes you've got to ride a little bit faster so that your mind doesn't wander. Just remember, speed is a slippery slope. The faster you ride, the more used to it you get, and the more bored you're going to be at slower speeds. Therefore, you're going to ride faster, and so on and so on. And now, if you're still a beginner, you probably want to watch your speed a little bit. Keep it under 200. Now, distraction also happens when you are tense, too cold or too hot. You see, tension creates extreme fatigue and it sort of destroys your skill set really quickly. Being too cold really creates a lot of tension in your body. So you want to stop riding and warm up as quick as you can. Being too hot, of course, can cause sunstroke and dehydration. Both of those are extremely dangerous. I've suffered from both at different times and it's not pleasant and it really is dangerous. Remember, a lot of Harley riders are in black. Black helmet, black leather can cause both of those things very quickly in the heat of summer. So you really need to be aware of this and, I don't know, perhaps ride earlier in the day and later in the day when the sun is not at its peak. Likewise, in the cold weather, ride closer to the middle of the day. That's the warmest part of the day. Or put some money into some warmer clothing. Now, tension on a motorcycle is relieved by taking a break, stop riding, or by using your willpower to actually relax your body. Often if you relax the muscles in your face, your cheek muscles, and your mouth in particular, the rest of your body will relax as well. So you've got to use your will to actually force those particular things to relax. A lot of beginners hang on to the controls way too tight or the handlebars too tight. If you willfully relax your grip, the rest of your body often relaxes as well. And if your mind relaxes, often your body relaxes. You relax your mind by stopping analysis and stopping thought, trying to blank out your mind. I know that's difficult to do, but most people can at least do that in part. And it really does go a long way to relaxing your body, especially if you're thinking about things in your life that have created turmoil or trouble. That creates tension in your mind and that transfers through to your physical body. Now, mistake number 5 is trusting that drivers will follow the rules, because they don't. It's a fatal assumption to make. Other people might not see you. They might not have the skill set or the competence to avoid you or to avoid making a mistake right in front of you. When you're approaching an intersection, slow down, cover your brakes and make the assumption that something might happen. Be ready for drivers that don't stop, that don't slow down, that don't give way. From as far back as possible, you should be scanning for any potential situations or hazards that might come up. That goes a long way to making an intersection, which can be a dangerous place, a lot safer. Now, when there are multiple lanes or you're splitting the traffic, make the assumption that there may be a car that wants to change lanes suddenly. Be alert, be ready to stop or to maneuver away. It's nothing to be afraid of. You just need to be alert and ready and have that at the forefront of your mind in particular situations. Keeps you alive. So if you're interested in that topic and you want to learn more, I'll link a video up here that goes deeper into that issue. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. Those of you who have already subscribed, make sure you hit the notification bell. YouTube will tell you when I've got a new video out and you can watch it.